the rigors of life behind bars. This part is, how easy is prison a bed of roses? Let's see it. Let's find out. Welcome back, and like we told you this morning, we're speaking with an inmate at Her Majesty's Prison. He's doing a 6-year sentence for theft, and he is one man who says that when he walks through these doors at the end of his sentence, he's not coming back, and he's determined to keep that word. Now, I want to ask you about life behind bars. Young men, for instance, when they're in their teens, and young men who have never been to jail, they say, "Me no afraid jail." You know what they mean. Is it an easy time behind bars?
Definitely not. It's not an easy time behind bars. As you was speaking a while ago, I was thinking, of that song from Jackie. Prison is not a bed of roses, and he mentioned that sometimes it make him ball, and I could share his sentiments because it's not an easy place to be. It is really not an easy place to be. Just recently, I saw a young individual came into the cell, and when he came in and he saw us in that cell, he started to shake. He started to cry, and we was like, "No, don't cry." We basically had was to really help him to hold himself together. But really and truly, it is not an easy place to be. It is, for me personally, it is a very trying place. It has its difficulties. It has its challenges. For one thing, maintaining yourself in prison is very, very difficult. You would have to have visits from outside. There's only so much you could allow. You're not allowed to get any and anything from the outside. What you do need in terms of your personal stuff, you would have to get it from the prison itself. So number one, maintaining yourself in prison in terms of hygiene wise and so forth, it's very, very difficult. Secondly, being locked down. Being locked down is one of the major challenges I face, and I know for other guys it's indeed a major challenge as well, because basically you're locked down in a cell whole day. At times or during the week you would allow or given 1 hour on the outside. After that 1 hour you're back into your cell, and that is very, 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 very difficult, because who wants to be locked down? Who wants to be locked down? So that is another challenge with prison, the lockdown situation. Also the feeding itself, you'd have to adapt to the feeding. Yes, you are given 3 square meals, but in terms of the meals, it is indeed difficult in that aspect. You would have to adjust to the meals. It's not basically meals you say you eat outside at a fast food outlet, or meals that your mom or your sister would cook for you, right? So that in itself, is difficult. Then contentions among inmates, within different cells, there's a tendency where even jealousy could happen, contentions, strife, and these things could lead to different things. For example, fights, right? Many fights happen, within a cell. 2 individuals might agree, and from time to time there's a tendency where you would take a small situation and make it turn out to something big within a cell, whereby fighting is concerned, whereby one inmate would have to run for maybe something that is illegal in a cell, for example a digger, maybe to use on somebody else. And all of this, for example, is what makes prison itself difficult for us, because when these things happen and the officers now come into play, there could be a lockdown total lockdown in the jail, and who wants that, right? Resentment. Within the prison institution as well, you find that you tend to gossip on one another, and these things could lead to to bigger situation. So really and truly, prison is really not a bed of roses. Everything is monitored, everything is censored.
All right, just pause it there for me, Jose. Boy. Well, you're hearing here, and that's why I said I wanted the young men who are listening to pay attention, because you get that he did say it's not a bed of roses.
No, it's not.
He mentioned that part where you see young men come in to prison for the first time, and they start quaking and shaking and crying.
Yeah, they must be really traumatized. Boy. And I'm sure some of these young men who are shaking and quaking and traumatized are the ones who are outside boasting about not being afraid of prison.
Yeah, because they've never been there.
Exactly, and when reality really strikes them, it's a totally different story.
Mm. And it's an eye-opener for me as well. People who are trying to reform themselves or trying to be reformed in prison, they need that support from outside. He mentioned, not being able to take care of yourself, your personal hygiene and so on. It's very important to have that connection to outside relatives and friends that will come and assist, bring little stuff for you.
Yeah.
Hygienic things, personal hygiene effects.
Mm-hmm.
So that was an eye-opener for me. That was an eye-opener for me. And then he spoke about the contention. He said, which surprised me, there is even jealousy in prison.
And gossip and... Wow.
Which leads to a whole lot of issues. But, wait until he starts talking about the fighting that result from these things. We don't hear about it on the outside, but it's pretty serious. Let's go back and take some more of this interview. By the way, if you're just joining us, this is a conversation with a gentleman at Her Majesty's Prison, and he's doing a 6-year sentence. Let's go, Jose.
If you're caught with something illegal, then you would have to pay the penalty even within the prison for being caught with something illegal. There are cases where I've seen inmates they are not allowing the rules and regulation to guide certain things within the prison. They tend to break these rules and guidelines, and at the end of it they have to pay the consequences. And sometimes the consequences they would have to pay, it's not easy, right? The authorities have to deal with it, right?
When you say the consequences, tell us about some of the rules that people, prisoners end up breaking, for instance.
For example, you're not supposed to have anything illegal. Right now, the prison authorities could conduct a survey in the cell whereby they would come and search. What about if they find maybe a digger by my bed? I'm not supposed to have a digger. What it is I'm going to do with that? When it is they call me and
when you say a digger, you mean like a knife or something like that?
Yeah, or like something you could use to harm another individual, to stab them. Now, if something like that is found by my bunk, and I'm questioned, what is this? I'm going to tell the respective authorities how it is they're going to deal with it.
How would they normally deal with something like that?
In a situation like that, they would talk to you. They would talk to you. They would take the matter to the higher authorities, and then they would deal with it, and there are punishment for that. For example, you're sent under confinement. You're locked down in a different area that is not comfortable as the other cells, maybe for a couple of days. There's also, if it's more extreme, then your privilege would be taken away from you. You're not being allowed to get visits. You're not allowed to get your fruits. You're not allowed to even get something from the commissary. You're just confined, in a cell. And within that cell, it's difficult. It's extremely difficult. So within the prison institution, there There are rules and regulation that must be followed. But if you choose to disobey that or go against that, then you would have to make up your mind to face the consequences. There are situations whereby inmates might want to fight the officer. What about if an inmate now putting up strong resistance and going to fight the officer? Then what would happen when the officers team up? You have to deal with that, right? So really and truly, life in prison is not nice. It's extremely difficult.
I know people say that, for instance, people say a prisoner has to go to jail and they have to eat taxpayers' money and get good food. You mentioned that the food is not as great as people might think it is. Just expand on that a little bit for us.
No, it's not nice. The meals, they're not really to supplement your meals here, right? Each day, yes, you're given your 3 square meals. Given it 3 square meals, you'd have to make that though. There's nothing you'd want to argue about it. The way I look at it is a matter survival for me. So I'd eat it. I'd be content with it. There are times where I personally would tend to talk down on the meal, right? Sometimes you don't have the taste you would expect, but there's so much.
You mean like it lacks salt, it lacks sugar,
ingredients wise, and so forth, right? But as inmates, there is only so much we can do here.
You're basically eating to stay alive or eating to survive. It's not like you're eating this great hotel food.
No. You're not eating like you would eat on the outside, right? Sometimes some of the meals even lack the necessary ingredients, right? But as I mentioned earlier, it's just a matter of survival. The reason why I say that is that no one invited us here to the prison. Nobody invited us here. So if we come to prison and we meet certain things, then it's we to adapt. Why complain? Who sent us here? Who brought us here? We. So we are the own up to that.
There you go. And the reason why I asked about the food, of course, is I want to ask, is that something as well that can, frustrate you? Because you have to eat this day in, day out for a protracted time. After a while, does it start to get to you mentally?
Yeah, definitely. It could tend to get to you. It could cause serious frustration knowing that that is where you live on the outside. You live a better life on the outside for this, to substitute it for this, right? So even that could be very, very frustrating and difficult for inmates.
Let's talk about the conflicts. You spoke a little bit about that. Conflicts. People can get into little banter, a little back and forth within the cells, etc. First of all, has that ever happened to you where guys have come towards you in an aggressive manner or try to pick a fight?
No, it never happened to me, right? But I've seen it happen to other individuals. And some individuals, they would put up a resistance. They would tend to go head on into that fight. They would not back down. Who is the strongest man? Let us see. There are fights that end up in serious bloodshed. There are fights whereby one inmate would receive stabs. So while it never really happened to me, I've seen it.
Is it a scary thing to witness?
Definitely. It's not something nice to see, knowing that, regardless of what the situation is, why not quell that situation in a peaceful manner? But pursuing peace today is difficult for many people, even within inmates within the prison. They would tend to, I'll put up a resistance to defend my territory. And it's not a nice thing to witness, seeing other inmates have to lift up another one to take them maybe to a vehicle because of stab wounds and it seems blood running. Who is responsible for them while they're here? So all these things, tends to make it very, very difficult. So personally, if we avoid conflicts by just maybe turning the other cheek, or you know what, just forget about that. It makes things better. But within a prison institution, it's difficult. Sometimes a fight would happen in a cell, and you run in from that fight. You run in by that silly fight coming, where you going? Right? So
you're locked in with them.
Exactly. So, it's not easy.
Does it surprise you, or has it ever surprised you that a fight happened, somebody got stabbed, for instance, and they did not die? Or does it surprise you that since you've been here, nobody has died as a result of a fight?
No, well, since I'm here, I've never seen, anyone die from a fight. But hearing from prison officers who have been serving in prison for a number of years, I've heard that there are cases where 1 or 2 inmates would have lost their life due to a fight. I witnessed a fight, many fights, but one whereby one guy was actually inflicted with stab wounds, and seeing him lying there, right, I was like at a loss, because he lay there for a while before the necessary help came, right? Because the place was so swarmed with inmates trying to defend themselves, trying to do this, trying to do that it was difficult even for some of the officers to get to that guy in a quickly manner. But he did get that help and received the necessary assistance from the authorities.
Well, before we close out this segment, to the young men out there, especially who've never been to jail, and they will be saying that, I'm not afraid of jail. If I have to go to jail, I go to jail. You were inside here, you just talked about all those things, life, in here. What would you say to that young man?
Think twice, right? Pursue peace. Avoid coming to prison, and avoid wrongdoing, right? Why not look to the future with confidence? Why not look at something worthwhile? Why not look at a goal that you could work towards? Yes, you want to achieve a particular goal. Is obviously there would be setbacks, there would be obstacles along the way. Why not rise above these obstacles? Why not rise above these setbacks and achieve that goal, right? And work towards it. Do something for yourself. Do something that for you personally you would see the rewards of pursuing something worthwhile in life. Don't go down a road where you'd end up have to regret, where the law then comes into play. Then you're sent to a Majesty's prison. You come into a cell. When you sit down, you start to cry. What is I doing? What is I doing here in prison? Then you regret everything you did. So why not avoid all these things by setting worthwhile goals? And when you set these worthwhile goals, work towards it. Pray about the goal as well. Ask the Most High to guide you, to direct your steps, your path.
Is there a lot of regret, from inmates around you? Do they express a lot of regret about the actions that led to them being here?
Definitely, and you find a lot of inmates regretting their situation when they are sentenced. When they go over to the court and their trial happen, and then after the trial, the judge give them their sentence. Then they see, wow, maybe the sentence is a big sentence. Then they find it extremely difficult, and then they sit, they regret. I should avoid this. Shouldn't I go down that road? There are cases where I have heard it. I've seen, even guys sitting down after being given a sentence and just look on their face, right? Just their demeanor. You could tell a lot too as well by a person's facial expressions. You could definitely see regrets.